Need a microphone, and then we should be okay. Let me get my headphones. I always forget to do things here. It's a bit annoying for like having to send the link when I'm sending a link somewhere. I should probably think of automating that whenever I go live, that I get a link so it sends it in Discord, which is what I'll do now. Forgot to change my title, so quickly do that. New thumbnail is now here. Forgot to turn on monetization, which is always handy, and Dash Glitch called me out, so we're checking phase plant. Here we are. We have a title, we have everything set up, and the bot is running. It should have a timer, I think. If not, I'll have to change that. But the goal of today's stream is to explore, just like we did last time with Vital. This time we're going to explore phase plant. And we're mainly going to focus on the Wavetable editor. So that's what we'll be taking a look at today. Just for context, why Dash Glitch called me out, why I'm using that in the title. I basically said that I don't like phase plant because the Wavetable editor isn't very functional, as opposed to Serum. But then he showed off a whole bunch of different tricks on his stream, which just finished like 2 hours ago. So this is going to be kind of like a follow-up thing to that, and I'm going to explore the Wavetable editor for myself, see what it can do, how powerful it is, and might be a good video idea to confront the three main Wavetable editors that I use and many of you use, which is phase plant, Vital, and Serum. Right? So Vital and Serum. I have all three of them bought, and we can play around with those and maybe do like a cool video where I confront the three and see what we all think. So that's what we're getting into today. I'm just going to open up a Wavetable here, and again we're going to do this in the context of my what's this project here, which I worked on the other day, which is atmospheric sound design. So for the presets that I'm working, or the samples that I'm working on, my samples, this one, atmospheric sound design, we need to make some samples in C. I probably want to get to 10 today, so we're going to make 8 sounds today, and then I'm going to work on that song that I worked on last stream. So that's the plan for today. Hopefully my camera doesn't fail me. But we're just going to make a MIDI clip. I'm going to make it longer because this one is also short. Both of these are like shorter ones, so we can make a longer one for now. I hope we have no connectivity issues, no problems. I can see my view count isn't rising yet, so I hope people will come in and join me in a little bit. So we're going to start off by very basically creating a new wavetable. And the way this works is it's all based around frames, which you can edit. So I think what I can do is, for example, create a sine wave here by selecting the first harmonic, and okay, so that's already a bit annoying. I want this to be around there. So now we have a sine wave which sits nicely in here, and let's here go, just for simplicity, to make a double sine wave at the end. So you select it and then you have your sine waves, and you can morph between them, right? So I'm going to Nice to see that Desk Glitch is here so he can help me a bit. I'm basically going to start off by what I think I'll do is make some basic waveforms that are just like useful. So for example, this shift between 2 octaves, that kind of thing, I'll probably try to remake my SSQ wavetable in here, although that's going to be a little bit harder because obviously I don't really know how to do that, and that's done within the remap function. So I can just save this in user. We'll make it a wave because that's a nice standard that's also usable in other ones, I think. Sine octave morph. So this is easy. Basically, you're just morphing between 2 different octaves of a sine wave. But this is cool if you want to SSQ this. So the basic of like SSQ is to, I have it here in my user tables here, the SSQ carrier. You can do it like this, and normally I've done this just on normal sine waves, but here you can see the kind of waveform it creates is this kind of icon has kick feeling, right? So you get the this. Let me quickly turn off the ambience because that's not really needed now. That kind of sound that you can get some really cool extreme psychedelic sounds with that. And now it's done. Not just on a normal sine wave, but you can do like in between. You can see how it's doing this weird thing where every other one is like lower. So let's explore this a bit more. Let's see if I make a new one. You can add effects to this as well. So we'll just start with, again, a sine wave. Like that. So I'm kind of just looking at where does it go to, the 0 point or 100%. I don't want to go over that. And now to make this full, I think you do another one. I don't know, can you just like copy one and then paste? Yes. Okay, and then we can go here and select that tool, and that just applies it to everywhere. And then there's a whole bunch of different effects. How do I select everything? That's, I can go like this. I can go and set a, what's useful here? Probably like a sine FM. I can set amounts here. And the way you can do it is just set like amounts like this here will go to an amount of 0. Yes. And that's just like morphing between the different amounts that we have. So now we get this almost like wave folding kind of thing. That's almost, yeah, it's not the real waveform, it's just adding more FM to it. So again, just going to save this. Sine FM morph, and we can select a position, and then as you can see it's now a bit of a mess here, but get various different crazy tones from that. You can even already turn that into something like a synth if you want. You could. It's a bit of a mess because it's a bit too far for the both of them. So you should be able to, just as a quick test, go like this. kind of. And then set this to 16 notes as well, and we set this to the output gain. Now I want to add some stereo width, and then something like a delay. That's already a pretty cool way to quickly make a lead sound, but that's not really what we're doing. So we're making atmospheres. What do we have here? We have the standard one. Let's try something cool. We'll try drawing in kind of a crazy shape here, and then we have to set faces. Can you not set faces higher than these? Does it not allow for that? I'm just kind of setting these randomly, so. I want all of these faces to randomize. Is there a way to randomize faces higher than what we have here? Can we edit those? I can add a DC offset, which is okay, strange. Because we have these two massive peaks here now, which is probably due to all of the high-end stuff happening here. Thinking, like if you edit these, you can see it's not really affecting these peaks, whereas I think this stuff, yeah, it's massively affecting that there. It's just all summing together. So I would like to randomize some of the phase here in the top higher harmonics, but it doesn't seem, well, obviously it's not going to give you individual buttons. It would be cool though if there was a way to do that. Also, I want this to extend all the way because I want to play with that a bit more later. I'm just going to Google if there's a way. Effects, generator area, wavetable oscillator, wavetable editor, harmonic edit tool. In small round widgets will appear under each post. Okay, so I need to zoom in on this waveform or on this thing. It says if you zoom in, yes. It still doesn't give you all of them. So I guess we can. There's no way to quickly manipulate this right into giving you random phases for like any harmonic above a certain value. Is that possible? I'd assume it's reset phases, line all frames align from edit, frame blend, disperse, phase offset. I guess this is kind of what you, well, not really. Okay, so this is going to offset all of the phases of each harmonic equally, which is not what I want. These are harmonics. It would be cool if there was like this tool for phase, where you can just drag them in, like kind of how you can do that in Serum, but that doesn't seem to be as important here. I've heard that in theory the phase of higher harmonics are not that important, but I'm having these peaks which I really kind of don't want. I guess it does, right? It gives you that clickiness stuff here and here, and I kind of don't want that, to be honest. Filter tool. Brush tool. Okay, so that's these tools. Is there just no way to do that then? Okay, I guess we'll have to work with this then. Let's just try something here. So for one, I'm going to set a minus or a 0%. And then here we're gonna go 100% and just morph kind of like this. So we get a cool kind of morph in there. And then I can filter it. Is there a normal filter? There's the filter tool. So at the start I want pretty steep slope low, and then at the end I'm going to completely open it up. That's the plan. Yeah, you see, this is what I not want, that kind of peak at the end, and that's due to the phase of the high frequency. So that's these massive spikes here. If there's a way to randomize phases above a certain point, what we can do is save this, I think. Save as wave and then call this gritty comb morph. I'm just kind of randomly naming these for now. I'm not planning on making a pack, although that would be pretty cool at some point. I guess I can do that in Serum. So already the thing that we're learning is that the most powerful tool for making wavetables is not just... Did I now remove the other one? That's not what I want. It is to load it up in here. Where do I have my face plant stuff? User. Okay, let me quickly grab this and drag it into here. Yeah, you can see that this is a problem, and the problem comes from all of the high-end stuff happening here. So I think here what I can do, at least that's what I hope, is to not that. I guess what I can do is we randomize the phase here for each of them. We draw in whatever phase line we want the lower harmonics to have, so maybe something exciting like this, and then offset 1 or 2. I guess we can offset, let's see what we can get for shape. Something like this for now. I'm kind of looking to make sure that it's all, well, it's louder on top, so that's not what I want. See if we shift it down a bit. We get, yeah, around 2 and around 2. That's pretty good for a saw wave. And I guess now we can set spectra, set phases from other oscillators. That should give us less of a thing, and then we can gain stage them separately. Although this doesn't seem to have worked that great. It's probably because there's a lot of high-end stuff going on here, so it's still keeping that spike, which is strange. I guess it's too high-end here towards the end. Right, so it becomes this mess. That spike is really annoying. I don't want that kind of grittiness stuff though, so we can, you know what, let's, since we have the start frame and the end frame, we can remove everything in between and then just edit this frame. One, we're going to give it a higher low fundamental. We're going to raise these up a bit more. So we get that kind of grittiness. And that's already fixing things. So now the energy is more concentrated in the lower parts here. We can give this a bit more of a bump there. And we'll make a little bit of a change to the phase as well. So it's just a bit different. And then you morph spectral, gain stage separately. And now we should have a nice, it's not that big of a difference, but it's sounding better, I guess. I guess for the starting one, we can lower the filtering even more. Remove multi-selection, and then here we basically have no high end here, so we can just gradually go all the way down here. So and then you spectral morph. And we're doing the gain stage separately, so it creates these intermediate frames and it allows you to save it nicely. Okay, so now we save this. Let me quickly find kilohertz. Preset, phase plant, user. Where does it save tables again? Oh. It saves wavetables at presets, user. Oh, I'm making a mess here. I'm sorry. Save. Documents, kilohertz, presets, user wavetables. Okay. So already we know that there's something Serum can do that Faceband cannot do, or at least I cannot find it how it's done. This one is already like better in terms of the grittiness, I think. Guess we can just do a wavetable morph here. I want to start working on the actual atmospheres that we're doing, because I've been live streaming for half an hour and I haven't made a single atmosphere yet. So, and I wanted to make 8 today. So we all know it's time to work in C. I'm going to try 2 notes here, C. What's the function you wanted PP can do? So my PP cannot randomize the phases of very high harmonics, or at least that's what I think. Because wavetable, if I show the original one, this has this massive spike here, right? Which is caused by a whole bunch of high frequencies coming together here. You can see how low all of this stuff is. And I'm thinking if I randomize some of the phases starting from like 50 upwards, then this spike should be like smeared out over the whole wavetable, and instead of just all spiking up right here. That was kind of the idea, at least. I don't know if that's possible or if that's really how it works, but I kind of feel like, because as you can see, while we're adding more high end here in the spectrum, this peak is like going up, and already here it's far out of the frame. So I think that's part of it. And the way I did that in Serum is that I inherited the phases of another oscillator, which had randomized phases, and that produced a better result. You can see with a bit of tweaking, it's still kind of doing it, but it's not that significant anymore. Like, it's just a little spike still. It's also after editing some of the lower harmonics and making sure those have a bit more energy. So that's a function that I'd like to have here. For now, let's just focus on quickly making this into a cool atmosphere. Obviously, then we have to turn on our ambience. Invictus or effect, I'm sure there's a process for that. Let's see. There's the phase offset, which allows you to just offset the whole waveform. I don't know really what this linear does. It's not in the manual, I think. Phase. To shifting every partial by the same angle. Yeah, so you can, this linear will shift partials with the same angle, right? So each one will have the same angle towards the next. Yeah, the process there, they're nicer because you get a preview. I see the idea here, the preview here. So this is just kind of offsetting some of the main harmonics, but I'm not really randomizing them between them. You can see it's just moving the shape along the curve that already exists. So it's moving them along the sine wave curve. It's not randomly changing the phase, which is what I want. Other than that, this reset phases, which does also not seem to. It also seems to be just a normal phase shift. There's no randomization going on here either. The cool thing, which is partially a cool thing, this is additive synthesis, I'm assuming, so any filtering on this will not impact phase, right? I can add as many comb filters on this as I want, but it's just going to change the individual harmonics to be comb filtered. It's not going to actually apply a comb filter to it. You could do it with a comb filter or all pass, yes. So here there's the comb filter, but as I said, I think what's happening here is that this is not really like an actual comb filter, like how would I explain it? Like kind of like Harmor. If you're familiar with Harmor for FL Studio, it's a additive synthesizer. So what it will do is it will generate a bunch of partials, and then it will apply different effects on those partials, either on the volume or the phase, whatever you're doing. So for example, a low pass filter, that's actually a good one. If I think this is how it works. If I add a low pass filter to this isn't changing the phase like a normal low pass filter would, which the one from any filtering plugin or any EQ. This is only affecting the harmonics that it's generating. It's actually not affecting the how would you say? You can see like the phase stays the same, right, on the waveform. Like if I add a Q, you can see I can basically match the shape of the wave. That wouldn't happen in a normal filter because you would have phase shift around this region, and thus these two wouldn't line up. But because this is additive synthesis, it allows you to line up or it doesn't change the phase when filtering. That's basically the idea, I think, at least. But for now we just did it, so that's okay. I hope the sound is not too loud for you. Let me know if it is and I'll turn it down a bit. But let's listen to our cool little atmosphere here. And I think we want to do some modulation on it to add some movement as well later. That is pretty cool. What I want to do is I want to switch left and right channel when the second thing comes in. So for that I'm going to throw on a dry wet, and on the wet channel we'll put a shift left right, which is going to shift the left and the right channel. Dry wet, change selector. This is what I want. I hope this doesn't mess things up too much. That sounds pretty cool. We're getting a massive DC offset here, so I'm assuming that there's a very low frequency happening. Nice. I'm going to turn this down a bit so we can morph that in, like, let's say 5 decibels lower. And then we get something like this. Okay, so we add this here. I wonder why moving a file around in Ableton will stop audio from working. It's kind of a strange idea to have that. Let's go to the next. Again, we'll play around with the Wavetable editor. File new. And let's just draw in. You can already see, like, in this shape, because of the phasing thing, that it's having effect on here. I can move these lower harmonics around, and I have to probably be, yeah, you can see this is just adding more information to that. See if we can find a way to get that spike as low as possible. Probably part of it is raising the rest. Usually start drawing the other menu. Yeah, let's try that then. So with this you can make like connections. I don't even get those spikes. Yes. So this is making sine waves. Then you have the freeform tool here and the pen tool, which you recommended is for like quickly making something. Let's just there and then down there. Something like that, and then we'll make another frame and morph to that. Bit more of a complex frame. Why am I now not getting the, where's that, this one? No. Okay, so once you have one drawn, for some reason it doesn't allow you to clear it, but that's okay. We can just work with this like that. doesn't really matter, we have to morph anyway, so. Okay, done. So now we're basically morphing between 2 points. Let's add a disperse to this. Here we're going to go for 100, and here we're going to go for 0. So we're getting from a very clean wave into a very strong one. Also can turn the mix down. Does that do much? It changes the way it morphs. I think this looks a bit cleaner just looking at the waveform there. Okay, let's see what we're having here. I think the best way to approach this is to set an amount and then just go mix 0 here and mix 100 here. So it just kind of morphs in there nicely. I also want some more high content here. Bit of bias. That would be nice now if you use the align all phases. Wait. That would be nice now if you use the align all phases. Okay, let's first quickly turn this down to 0 and this up. Let's just try align all phases. Okay, so then it's a cleaner morph, yes, because then the harmonics are all in the same. Then the warp should be smooth and you get a range of sounds phases. Yes, nice. I think I want some grit in here. I think rectify is not really what I want. It would be cool if there was just like a wave shaper function that you could put in your own wave shape that you want. Here I'm going to set a pretty low amount, because now I have stuff all at the top and all at the bottom, which is not really that great. Here the mix is going to be 0, but it does become a bit more of a complex waveform this way. Just gives us more high energy, which is really what we're after. Nice to see Lil Dave East. It's also here. That's exactly what we're after. Let's I'm just all calling them morph right now, but that's okay. Marco S, how are you doing? Totally forgot to greet me, no worries. I'm used to it. Okay, I want that kind of sweep thing that we had. So the right channel here really doesn't, for some reason this is like offset, right? There's cars passing by outside. That's the other bass noise that you were hearing probably. Okay, I'm going to turn this down a whole bunch so it doesn't distort. Is it? Aha. You can see we have a massive DC offset from this. And I want to know, is that from faceplant itself? Probably has to do with our spectrum here. So just to be safe for now, let's get an EQ and just filter out the lowest low end here. Don't really need any of that, and that's just going to remove that for any time in the future that we have that. Nice. Bit of a start to it. But there's another sound. I do want to do some quick fire ones so we can actually get some work done, because in 50 minutes we've done 2 sounds, which is not really efficient. If I have to make the whole pack like this, it will never be like a good idea, because then just spend too much time working on that. But I do want to play with the Wavetable editor, because that's really what we're doing in this stream. So we're going to go new. I'm just going to draw out, I guess, kind of a crazy shape here, like this, which is not really that crazy. But now here, I can edit the original shape, which is not what I want to do here. I want to keep this here. And then I go to this one and draw out some other crazy shape. I guess we'll do like a little bit of a impulse like this, and then we can align all the faces. Faceplant is basically a DAW. I made only 4 presets in 4 hours earlier. Yeah, I saw it, but you were making some crazy stuff, like a whole song in there. It might be cool for when we later work on the musical project. To work on some like grid synths, not even a full track, but just the grid synths of the track that I'm working on. Make that in faceplant, and then just make all of them like in here. Kreisens serum is master race. Yes, I've been feeling that for the longest time, but faceplant is unique in that you can spend 2 hours working on a sound and then say, well, it's just one crazy big thing, like what Dash did before. It's you can make a full song in this thing by just playing one MIDI note and then just working out everything in faceplant. He had like 17 different LFOs and randomizers and different effect chains and everything. I guess we can do a higher octave one. Okay, so now that we have a waveform, let's do some basic FMing. This is what I like faceplant for the most, is just to set up some basic analogs and do a whole bunch of weird FM stuff. So I can add some FM to this to kind of squeeze it a little bit. There's even modulators a whole bunch of different FM things that you can do. So let's try asymmetrical rounded like this. Then you set this up fully to one side, I think is the idea, and then it just gives you that kind of feeling. So this is almost like SSQing, looking at the form. I want to maintain the kind of sine wave aspect of it a little bit, so that's what we're doing. But now we can morph between these two. We can also set up a macro to follow some of these. Oh. And then we'll set up a macro to follow this one here. And theoretically, by just playing with these, we get a whole bunch of different morphs and sounds out of it. Yeah, it's just a constantly changing waveform. If I now duplicate this, we can put this like an octave down. It doesn't save any of the FM routing. That's very annoying. Is there a way? Well, I guess we can set them up. Again, it doesn't really matter too much. We'll set up different ones. So this one is self-modulating a bit, and then we'll squeeze this out a bit like that. And then we'll set up our asymmetrical thing again and just find like a different wavetable. Can set this and this. And finally, to add some even more lower content, we'll mix in a phase shifter. You have to set this to high, otherwise it doesn't match. And we'll add just a bit of movement to it with the slice EQ. 4 decibels should be okay. Like a little smiley face dip, I guess. This all goes through here, right? Yes. I'm just messing about with some of the different effects that we have and see if we can create some more difference in the movement in the tone. I guess it would be cool to have a more stable key. Let's bring that down to final thing I want to do is add a extra lower oscillator group for a lower harmonic kind of content, because we're missing a lot of stuff here. And then we want an output. Let's not have that go through the pitch shifter. I think 3 octaves is good. Guess we can morph that in like this. Strange, kind of weird sound, but I like it. It's complex, it's morphing, and it's a nice atmosphere. Of course it's a bit too loud, but that's okay, we can turn it down later. It's just this massive wall of sound right now. Quickly get myself something to drink. Stay hydrated. There we are. Okay. Cheers. Okay, so now that it's normalized, it looks a lot more like a normal waveform. Let's give it a little fade in though, not this much. I'm basically going to draw it back, but I found that fade ins like these sound more natural than having a short one and then just normal like this. I guess we can give it like slightly like that. Consolidate again, and then hopefully we have, yes, nice waveform. Although I forgot to cut off the end here, which again you want to fade. Oh, it's nice to see some more people joining. How is everybody doing today? Seeing my viewer count going up from before, so it's nice to see that. This is number 5, yes. I'm gonna go here. How long have I been working on this? For about an hour. It's time to speed up our workflow a bit. As I said, the main way that I use phaseband is just like this, where you select a whole bunch of different oscillators and create tones using the FM. Especially for like gritty synth sounds, if I'm making something like that, I found that that's the best way to do it. And the really cool and interesting stuff happens when you start messing with either self-modulation like this. You can see this becomes a mess real quick, it just becomes noise. But at lower percentages this is fun. And obviously the in-between stuff as well. So we'll mess this backwards. We might try different starting tones. That's really where you get the coolest ideas from using good starter tones. Mainly the FM thing in here doesn't really matter as long as you stay with low percentages. Let's add this to here as well. Some more grit, and then we'll probably go with a sine wave. Can hear some pretty cool tones coming from that already. We can filter that. What might be cool is to do one with a long release, like 8 seconds. We don't even need a macro for that, just an envelope will do. Very steep. Give it some attack. Let's give this some attack as well. Greetings from Mexico. Thank you. Nice to see people from all over the world here joining in. Here I want some distortion. Multiple people from Mexico here. That's nice. Maybe you live very close together and you could meet up through my chat. That would be crazy. Okay, so I'm going to multipass this. And then on the very high end, I'm going to put some extreme distortion. Obviously that needs to be balanced, so we'll gain that down a bit. I guess we could put this lower and put this here, so we catch that peak and can turn that down as well. And in post effects, I want to remove that very high end. Angela Fry. Nice to see so many different people here. I don't know if that Angelina Fry, if that's a real person. I hope it is. Sometimes you get these people who just randomly spam stuff like that. I don't know what the goal is there, but it does happen. I guess we could play with this as well. This seems to miss a bit of energy. So projected. Greetings from the UK. Nice. A lot of new people coming in here. Nicolas, obviously. I don't know. Wait. Oh, pitch shifter. Because that you can mix in here. I don't know, Nicolas. I don't remember. Did we? Have you been around long? I do know a Nicolas, but he has a different profile picture, I think. Don't know if that's the same guy. Can just place one down here. Can make it a little bit longer so it rings out nicely. I have a hard time remembering names and profile pics, so if I don't remember you, then I'm sorry, that's totally my fault. Nice, this kind of an impact sound basically. You could use some of those as well in the pack. Try to get it as versatile as possible. Instead of having it like all of these which kind of glide up to one, this one, all of this stuff which kind of, this one as well, this kind of, right, it all goes up until here with the, at least the modulation and mainly also the volume. So it's good to be diverse when making samples. If you're ever in the position where you find yourself making a sample pack, either for yourself or to sell, try to be try to be as diverse as you can, because mainly when you're making it for other people, you're not the one using it. You have watched my channel before, but you haven't communicated before. Okay. My memory is like a sieve too, yes. It's exactly how it is. It just goes in and then goes out. In Dutch we say it goes in one ear and comes out of the other. That's mainly for hearing things. You just connected. What are we doing? We're making atmospheres. The main goal was to learn about the Wavetable editor, so this thing in Faceplant, see how powerful it is, what you can do with this. And it turns out it's more powerful than I initially thought, which is always the case with kilohertz plugins. But we're applying that knowledge to create atmospheric sounds. So you can see a whole bunch of different sounds that we've already created. This is not all today. Today we have done these 4 here, and I'm compiling all of those sounds to eventually be this massive sample pack. So here we have 36 atmospheres in A sharp. Here we have 6 in C, and after that, so I'm going to get to 10 for today. Try to make 4 more, and then we'll just do some normal production and also have some fun with different things in either Faceplant or whatever we find. My goal, yeah, maybe what we'll do is, as I said before when you were not here, is do some grid synths for a track that I'm working on, and then do all of them together and sequence them together within Faceplant. That would be kind of cool. So let's try something creative here. We'll try the dash glitch approach of starting with some points. Like this. Okay, and then here we want. Okay, so now that we have made the first waveform, we don't get the second waveform here. What I want to do is Control C, Control V, and now I should be, yes, I can basically mimic it partially. And I'll just have it go lower here and a bit higher here, just to kind of change it up in a smooth way, I guess. Just kind of this cool morph here. Okay. My graphics card just did something weird. I had this weird glitch thing. I hope everything is still fine. I think it is. Sometimes my computer, because it's an old piece of shit, it just doesn't work. But everything still seems to be working, so that's okay. Let's do. I wanted to try and remake my SSQ with. That's the last thing we'll do. Which is basically just okay. Go here, go there, and then go there. But I want it to be straight lines for here. I like your orderly way of working. Thank you. It's very important when you're creative that you're not, not distracted by whatever it is that you're doing. I guess we could start with this, and then we can morph it into a more extreme version, or a different version at least. Start here, then we go up here, and then here we can mess with the warping, almost like a warp it. Where's a good spot? I think like this. Let's help you. It's nice to see that people can take something from my workflow. And then we morph. And then it's just this. I should save all of these in Wave instead of FLAC, because then Serum can open them as well. Let's see if this does what I want it to do. It's doing the SSQ thing now, and this should, yes, push it forward more, which is exactly what we want. Just listening to this without the effects on it. Phase blend is too big. I have to constantly move it around. I guess I can make it a bit smaller, but then it's hard for you guys to see, I guess. I can keep it within this area like this. This is nice. This is the kind of FM that I want. If you put it cleanly on a saw wave or a sine wave, then it's the exact kind of psychedelic sound that we're after. You can mix the two maybe. Kind of get this nice gritty distorting thing going on. A bit of foldback always seems nice because it then clips these peaks out a bit nicer. I'm kind of also looking at the spectrum, seeing if it's not too harmonic. It is a little bit, so I'm just going to... My goal is to do a like slight tilt EQ idea. See if that's possible here. I want this to be a peak. All the way down and all the way up. It's not really a tilt EQ, but it's probably will do. Can be a bit more extreme. You can just set gain and offset here. Is there no scaling option here? I don't think there is. That's okay, we can do that like manually. Okay. Can play with that a little bit, make it go like higher and lower. It's part of the atmosphere. I'm not really sure. I think I want to make a long one now. And how many more do we need? I think we said 4, right? Yes. Let's stay here in this octave. So dry wet on the delay, let's put that lower and find a different reverb. We can create some movement using EQ. It's a really good way because it moves both the phases as well as the frequency, but it's a bit predictable sometimes. So we can actually maybe do mid-side stuff, get some really strange things going. I'm just kind of setting them randomly and hoping that it will work out. And we're going to do the same for the side frequencies. I think in the side frequencies we want to cut the high end at the end, basically. So we're kind of we're in the middle here. So this part will have less high end is the end goal, at least in the sides. And we have 4. We're going to boost that. Again, we'll start by boosting high end in the sides, going down a bit. Maybe that's a bit too much, but we'll clean it up afterwards. Like this. You don't want any side information there. Okay, we've played with the offset. We haven't played with the FM amounts yet. We can set this to get creepy kind of sounds. Kind of screechy thing going on then. It has a nice ending. For this we're going to stay at like the higher points here, and we'll just mess about slightly so it changes the waveform every once in a while. See how it's now morphing? We can do the same for this. We're going to probably stay pretty high all the way through, although it might be cool to just like dip every once in a while. We'll do like a large dip here that just instantly goes back up, and then like this. I'm just trying some things out. There's no real systematic approach to this, it's just playing with automation. I like the end. I don't like how it quickly goes back up here, so we might stay a little bit higher like that. I like the ending. It's not particularly spectacular at the start right now, so we can play maybe with it a bit more. set like driving amounts. I guess we can see how far that goes, and then to compensate for the reduced dynamics that it brings, or the reduced volume that it brings, we'll add a slight bit of boosting to it as well, so it stays on the same volume and just becomes grittier. You see how the end waveform doesn't really lose its volume? Well, maybe a little bit. It's could use a bit of a boost there, then it just becomes grittier. And that's just to make sure that this effect, because this is adding the grittiness and this is keeping the volume, basically. There's some distortion everywhere. I guess towards here we can maybe do it like this. Really get those frequencies out there again. Ableton does not seem to like me editing that particular automation point. I think if I click on anything now, it's going to crash. So I'm not going to do that, because then we lose about 20 minutes of progress. Oh, there we are. Nice. That's cool. Let's record this. This is the kind of texture you would specifically place in that kind of a length of session, I'd say. You can also obviously re-pitch it, because it's in C and it's not really a useful key for psytrance. I know this looks strange, but Ableton is 32-bit floating point, so we can just normalize this clip to 0. Okay. Add our little fade-ins. Guess we can do a fade-in up until halfway here, around about that area, right? Which is halfway. Yeah, looks kind of strange to me, but I think once we normalize it, it will look normal again, because the waveform is throwing me off. It is 12 dBs over 0. Yeah, this is kind of what I want. Just goes up here towards this point here, but it's this nice almost background atmosphere that you can place in your track. So now that you don't hear the distortion, that's actually what it sounds like. It's another bot, I think. This one doesn't even have a realistic name. I've seen a few videos about like YouTube bots and how they work and how they are used to farm subscribers, because you cannot it has to do with like detection of making sure that's not a bot, because YouTube doesn't really like having automated accounts on its website. So the whole idea is that for YouTube, what these channels do, what these automated bots do, is they'll sit in live streams and in comments. I get these comments all the time. I think Deskglitz also get these, where it's just some random letters, and like this, the name is completely random. It doesn't make any sense. Let's try something different here. We'll do a 7th on top of it. But the idea is that these bots are trying to this is where they have halls full of people solving captchas as fast as possible. It's the same thing. This is a completely automated system. So what they'll do is they'll first make these accounts completely automated. They bypass the captcha, so that's where the captcha farms comes in. But they'll create a whole bunch of these accounts which are trying to be human by doing these random commenting things, having names, having stuff like that, and then they'll subscribe to whatever account wants to like buy subscribers, or whatever account they want to farm. And so you end up with a whole bunch of subscribers, like the subscriber number goes higher, and then you can sell that account to people who want to buy a YouTube channel which already has like a start, which is a thing that people do. I wouldn't recommend it, because then obviously you have a whole bunch of fake subscribers, but it is something that happens, where people basically deliberately try and like cheat the system, and then they create these programs that do and create the random bot kind of thing. You see, there's another one. They just keep coming. Or at least I hope I'm not insulting anybody who's trying to type here or something like that. I'm going to let's explain what we do. Let's get back into the topic. I'm going to switch this. So we have a low end, a mid range, and if I duplicate this, we can also get a high end. So we're basically making filter crossovers. Well, it's when the comments started repeating themselves exactly the same. Yeah. It's the same on all of these websites, obviously. I'm going to put these to the master, and then I'm going to go to lane 1 for lane 2 for the mid-range, lane 1 for the low end, and lane 3 for the high end. Now there's cool things that we can do. I can make another group, and here we'll without noise, let's do some wavetable stuff. And we'll put in 2 analogs. We can basically make an FM setup for these. So I'm going to put this all to lowest. I wonder why there's still audio coming through here, but that doesn't really matter. And then we'll do another wavetable. I'll just quickly find something. Like this. This is nice and noisy and crazy. And here for the wavetable, we'll try something chill, so it's not too complex. Also for this one, I can probably get away with something like this. We'll have it and tighten it up a bit. Give it a nice, like that. something like this, just kind of a gritty tone that we're making. And then we can modulate, or not just FM them, but we can FM the different frequencies at different amounts. So the sub bass, I don't really want to do anything with that. But the mid-range, obviously, we want some mid-range in here. And I guess we could add a little bit, but that's just going to, as you can see, take away from our wavetable. So let's not do that. And now we can basically distort the three of them together, all kind of similarly. And I can also spread out the high end a bit more, maybe do a harder one on that, and we'll keep the lower one not too much. And now it's too high, obviously. And by setting up modulation on these things, we can individually control them. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to do all of them on separate macro, so we have a lot of control over it. And then finally this one has one. And we can also set up the FM amount of this one and this one here. So we have 7 macros that we need to play with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, for some reason that didn't work. Go 1. I have to probably make a point for it to remember it, otherwise it doesn't like it. 2. Yeah, that seems to fix that. That's annoying. And 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so now we have a whole bunch of like FM parameters that we can set up. For 6 and 7, which are our main oscillator FM amounts, I'm going to stay pretty high. And we're also going to go pretty fast. And for these, we don't really ever want to touch 0 with this, because that's just no FM. And we just kind of want to morph between some positions here, so we get this ever-changing waveform. So go down and then maybe back up again for this one stays pretty low, never at 0, so there's always a bit of FM going on every connection. And this one just goes down. Let's see what this brings us. Now, a quick question. Does it make a new voice for every... Yeah. I think phaseband works like this, where in here you can do like velocity stuff. So if I set this low and then set up like a little bit of a velocity thing, we should get 2 velocities. Don't we? One up there, one here. which means that we should be able to also for the mid-range set like velocity amounts. And this one I'm going to go full. Nice. I'll do a little bit of movement on it. I don't want it to be too much, so let's go up a little bit. What am I cooking up today? I'm cooking up atmospheric stuff. Atmospheres. Stuff like this. Again, we're clipping a lot here, but that's not a big problem. Sounds nice, thank you. Yeah, this is all for a sample pack. So eventually you'll be able to play with this as well. In key, yes. So this is the, I'll guide you through it. You can see we have A sharp finished, which is 36 atmospheric samples. And then we're going to do C, and we're going to do D sharp, G, and G sharp. Kind of a nice range of keys. I basically chose the keys at random. But at least for me, A sharp, G, and G sharp. And for many other people, D sharp are very much used within sidetrance. And then I guess it's handy to have C, because then you could play it in MIDI if you want to do that, so you don't have to tune it in any way. Atmosphere 8 C. Nice. Okay, there we are. We're getting to the point where this becomes CPU intensive, so I'm saving all of the sounds, right? Let's make a new temporary folder in here with done. It's kind of the same as the to-do folder. And I can just drag this in here. It will save this whole group. And then I can delete all of the instruments, and I'll still save the instrument. It's taking a long time to do that. Obviously it needs to save a whole bunch of different presets. I think there's like, yeah, there we are. Call this effects edition 1. So I'm keeping all of the presets that I have in here. If I ever want to use one of these atmospheres within a track, obviously I should have probably named all of these, but I don't really feel like doing that. But now, without removing my cool effect setup, I can just do this. Subliminal TV. Nice. I like all of the compliments that I'm getting. Can I see who is this? There you are. Subscribe to the channel. Nice to see that there's new people coming in also from the stream while I'm streaming. This is the first time I had somebody subscribe on me during a stream who was actually watching the stream. So it's cool to see my stream going out to new viewers and people being interested in it. Guess we can do a little bit of shift here. I'm just going very easy on these things, trying to not create too much of a weird shape here. We have this cool kind of almost pulse width shape, but it's like flipping. Let's see what this sounds like. It's fairly important. Has some square qualities to it, which you would expect with this thing here, right? Distorted. Get some of the different qualities out of it, like different tones out of it. Guess we'll start here. Going to turn this up and see what that sounds like, if that's the morph kind of thing that we want. Okay, we want 67. That's what we wanted to start with, because then it's in the part that's most interesting, I think. Let's see what happens if we just duplicate this. That's a mess. Can go higher. That's kind of where I want to be with this, like the end of the tone, nice high end. We'll do the same trick again. What you can do, instead of like actually filtering, is just lowering the Q on a filter that's already there, and then you just go a little bit higher. It's not as drastic as filtering. You'll always have some high end then. And if you need more, you can just do it twice. It's a different effect than just filtering. It changes the way the curve goes up. It doesn't really sound like filtering. Although it does have the same effect. I forgot to record the last bit here, sorry. I have to do that over. I want to keep some of the reverb tail in it, that's very important. Okay. Obviously you don't want it this long, so I'm just going to make it sensible. If you really want to get into sample making yourself, then this is part of making a sensible package that everything is faded and properly cut in length. So if you're into making your own stuff, keep that in mind. That's important. Nine C. I think this is the last atmosphere. I wanted to do one more. Let's do one more and then I'll take a quick break, because then it's been 2 hours of me just sitting here. And sometimes you need to take a quick break, but it's only going to be like 5 minutes as normal, even though I spent a lot longer than I would usually do. Normally I do like 1 hour, 1.5, and I take a break. But it's a good idea to do that when you're producing, to keep your ears fresh, especially when you're like switching projects, which we'll be doing after this. Let's get some saw quality in, or a square quality in here. Something like this. This kind of has a nice continuation of like a sine wave setup like that. But it's obviously lost once you start distorting things. Can a bit of a bias. With bias you can create some cool strange curves that you would normally not be able to. Can turn it up a bit again, not too much, and then we can again do that. Get a bit more drive. We want to raise the bias as far as it goes without raising that lower one, so like this, and slightly turn it down. But we're basically just squaring it off. You can see it's just squaring these peaks off ever so slightly, but we're keeping some of the cooler little spikes in there. That's our goal here. So we should have a really sharp sound now. Which is exactly what we have. Now let's do some cool stuff here. Just trying some different effects. I think a disperser would be cool. Again, also at C, we'll probably do C2 as well. Let's just try setting them up on every C from starting from C2 like this. I think to make that really effective you want some kind of change in the harmonics in between these, so I'm just going to add some quick changes like this. Let me put this away because it's right in front of the chat. That's not what we want. I want to be able to see you guys. Going to modulate some of these things here differently. We'll do some of the distortion and then like that. That's something we can play with. We'll do not a short one. I don't want to spend too much time on this. The start we're going to fade out with that weird attack thingy going on. But for now we just want it to become brighter throughout this thing. I'm going to select a bit of a different reverb and delay and give it some more dry wet on both of them. And then we can play with these. Very short blip there, halfway in between, and it just goes up. And finally, this is the distortion. I guess we'll do something like this. That's a nice one. I like that. Nicely transitions into this point here towards the end, so it's useful in arranging stuff. All of this is in 145 BPM, by the way, which will be in the pack information. What I found is that one of the delays we've set up in our effects chain is gets more feedback, or it gets a longer delay tail if you push it too hard, like we're doing here. So it might sound like a bad idea to clip at 10.6 dB, but it's actually helping to smooth out this part here. You can see it's a fairly long delay tail there, which I like. The way we're going to do, I'm going to add a quick fade in, like this. Oh, yeah, and then we can render that out. Going to need a new track. Let's call this the render track. We can drag it on here, and then we can dial in a different volume. Just going to slightly offset this so it's going down a bit, so it's not too loud right here, because this is actually louder than the sound here. And then finally we can drag in our main volume curve that we want. And what we should find right now is that it kind of takes this shape on, because it's fairly flat in terms of volume. There is no real strange volume stuff going on, except obviously the fades where it's lower, but we don't really care about it. In this area it should give us this kind of shape, hopefully, if we flatten this. And it does. Look, it's nice. Consolidate it once more to make sure that we can set this to 0 dB. And now we have nice, cool, weird morphing thing. I like what happens here with the reverb kind of. It's not really the right reverb for it. It seems like there's a little bit of an error, but I'm going to keep that because it's unique. I don't really know how to describe it. I don't know if you can hear it. Maybe it's just me hearing things incorrectly. But there's this like little wobble in either the delay or the reverb that we have, or at least in the tail that we have. C. So I'm happy with what we've done today on the atmospheres. This is all good stuff. For now I'm going to take some of my creativity and use it on a track. I'm quickly going to open it and I'll have you guys listen to it before we go into work, so that I can take a quick 5-minute break. Save changes to this. Yes. There's this weird thing going on with YouTube's graph that shows you how many viewers you have, and that it sometimes just dips to 0. So I'm looking backwards here to make sure that there's no that I still have people sitting here. Because sometimes I just like see it from the corner of my eye and I see the graph like dipping down all the way to 0, and I'm like, I hope that's not real. I don't think I can show that. Yeah, I could show that, but it now dips down to like 2, and then it goes back up to 7, like right here, right? So this bit, it's just kind of concerning if you're creating content. You don't want to see that. You want to see people enjoying your stream and what you're doing. So let's hope that this project will load. It's a bit of a complex project. It wasn't too crazy. This is the project that we worked on last stream. So if you were here last stream, you probably remember this. If not, I'm going to play it once up until here, which is 5 minutes. So I can take a 5-minute break, and I'll be right back. I'll just have you listen to it so you can hear what's going on in the project and you get familiar with the production before we actually start working on it. I think that's a good way to spend some break time. So I'm going to play it. Nice. Welcome back, everybody. Here we are. Gonna write out some ideas. I'm gonna leave these notes. I'm also going to make this yellow because I think I want to add some more bass edits in there. So we're going to say that that's not quite done. I have some ideas. Notes 2 that I want. For this break, we're going to do a whole bunch more pitch modulation. Like, we have that thing going down the octave, but we have mainly these stabs, right? This thing. We're gonna have that pitch down as well, and maybe in this one we'll have it pitch up. It's already like different notes, but we can play with that. Some more pitch modulation, and then I'm going to rewrite this part of the drop around the main synth, which is this thing, which I have to remember to play from here. Gonna do more reverb edits, more edits in general, maybe like some stutter effects, things like that, and then we'll also play with this and have this do more pitch modulation. With pitch modulation. Oh, this already has the notes there. Then here we'll do the same thing. We'll remove some of these strange leads, maybe like this one. I don't think I want to keep that, even though I like the lead sound. We might rework this into something, but here we'll do the same thing, and then here before this we'll add another drop section. Another section of drop, and then we'll have to write out this. We might do some stuff in the intro as well with pitch modulation, but I don't think we'll have time for that today. I'm planning to do another 2 hours, maybe a bit more. We'll see how it goes. If there's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of people watching, I'll probably stay on a little bit longer. If I get a lot of chat messages, then I obviously have to like answer them, and that takes some time. Somebody's revving their engine here at the traffic light. I'm very close to the street, so all the street noise is coming through, but we'll just have to deal with that. Let's start with adding in the time here. You can Control-Shift-I. No, that's not what I want. Control-Alt-I, right? Shift. I don't want to break anything, but there's a key combination to add time. Add Control-I. This should, yes, exactly. We'll have this in here. We'll copy over these at least, and then here we'll do building up and then more specifically, I think the last 2 beats, but we'll have to figure that out. For now, I'll just put it like that, and then we'll rename this to full stop. So here we're completely stopping, and then we have this element, and then it just continues on in the kick and bass and the rest of the drop. So as I said, I don't think I want this here. You might experiment with having this here. Then what else do we have? What is this? I'm just going to listen to the different. This is a really cool sound. I do like that. Is this the one that changes? It doesn't change, but it does sound cool. This might be a cool thing to have right at the start as like an impact sound. Might be cool to have this sit in here. Also want in the intro to do something with the main plugs. Let me write that down. This is a good technique, by the way, if you're ever struggling to, or if you have a lot of ideas for a certain part of your track, just write them down in MIDI clips like this. I don't know how you would do this in other DAWs. I can name MIDI clips, so that's very useful. There's probably other methods to do that in other DAWs. I think FL Studio doesn't really have this functionality. You would need to make files and then import them on the timeline. I don't think there's such a thing as like notes enabled and specific to the timeline. But this is very useful for stuff like this. It would be cool though if they would incorporate note tracks specifically, so you could like open them up and then use all of this space. That would be very useful, because then I don't have to put different notes tracks in there, and I can be a lot more detailed in what I write down. So this we have done yellow, because we haven't finished it basically. Then here I think I want to start low passing this thing. So that's this guy here. Going to low pass that towards here, and then we'll open it up back there. If you have any feedback, any ideas, any considerations, just feel free to put them in chat. It's maybe a bit too low right now. It's like 4K maybe. Here obviously with the bass head it's going to sound a lot more complex. This one also has some nice morphing to it with the pitch shifter. get this sound that we have there really out. It's because we have this vocal thing. I might put that here. Might be cool for these to go slightly smaller. So like this. Let's see. This has some issues at the end where it because of the release, we need to up that a bit then. Otherwise you get those little crackles, which you don't want. Might even go a little bit. Like this. This also seems to have, I don't know if that's going to ruin this, by the way. No, so we can safely do that. Can maybe keep this in there like this. Okay, now that we have those, we can replace the midis. You get this nice staccato kind of feeling just to break up the repetitiveness of the bass line that we have throughout this whole track, hopefully. Now it has a nice bounce to it. I'm just kind of experimenting at this point. I want some slide to this clap, I think. Obviously that's too much. This is at -17, this goes to -20. something like this. Let's go down a bit more on this. That's kind of what I want. It's not exactly, so maybe instead of just doing it like this, we'll add a whole new different clap. That's going to just change up the vibe a little bit. And I'm thinking one of the cashmere packs, because I know these are the pre-shifted ones. These are probably something like this. Very short, fairly snappy. Like this, we can then remove the first one. And we'll make it a bit brighter. That's a bit too much. That mid-range energy, something like this is nice. Quickly check. We do have some stuff in here. I did see feedback. Quickly seeing if we get any feedback for on stream. Again, if I do feedback on stream as well. If you want to send me stuff, seeing that there's 6 people here now, if you want to send me a track that you want me to listen to, feel free to put it in the group, and then I'll maybe make some time to listen to them, maybe at the end of the stream. I always like interaction like that with community and whatever. Let's find some more percussions to add some groove to this, because I feel like here the groove is nice, the first part, and then this is lacking. So some low percussions maybe. We're in which key again? This is G sharp, I think, F sharp. That then has to be pitched one higher. Something like this maybe. That beat every once in a while. We'll do some slight panning on that to create a cool stereo field vibe to it. It's gonna be simple, just 30 left, like 38 right, something like this. You just duplicate it over. It's almost like a little delay thing. We can emulate delay a bit more in all of this by just going like this. Might be cool to have the first one be more impactful. It sounds like a delay, right? Let's try something here. I could even see little pauses in here. We're really trying to change up the groove from whatever's happening here, which is obviously with the bass edits coming in, it's going to be more progressive, but it's based around the melodic thing here, the melodic bass line. And here it's really based around the groove. So maybe some like fills, stuff like that. I think to be cheap, we can not really anything that catches my attention. Maybe in here. This ending maybe. I'll have this louder as well, not as loud as this thing, but maybe even not this one. That's a cool kind of edit, I think. Let's apply this here as well. Zero out all of those. There's a lot of people revving their engines around this area. Probably some reverb going in there for the transition. I don't know if I want these in here. It might be a bit too busy. Some transitioning stuff in here, that sounds cool. Going to work on outro pitching up thing. Let's put on and transformer on this thing, and we need to obviously delete some of these because we're going to do custom stuff, right? And we have those which are just on here, which is perfect, exactly what I want. For this one, we're just gonna let's set this to 5 and see what that does. I like the pitch down vibes we have. You don't really hear it. We can even try this one on here. The cool thing about this whole pitching thing is that we're pitching the reverb and the delay with it, right? So that's the idea. It's having trouble with this pitching stuff though. What are we doing here exactly that's turning it down? It's the frequency. That's coming back in, right? Yeah. Maybe a bit too. My PC is having trouble with this part of the project, which is understandable with all of that pitching stuff. This bad sound, I want this stuff to cut off exactly when that plays. So to do that, I usually use just a utility and you place it after the last effect that makes a tail, and then you just go boom, boom. There's nothing behind it. This is just break stuff, so that's okay. I have to check if this does the same thing. I think this already cuts off. Yes. Here we're gonna do the same thing. It just rises up. Here it's important that we reset it. Oh. So we go like this. Same for this thing. I have to remember to do that for all of them. And I guess this one too. Does this have reverb? No. Okay, so this should be okay. This is just like a bass riser. That noise is just coming from the reverb thing. I think it might even be like almost like a dither thing, but I'm not quite sure. Here we have to make sure that we almost like compress that one so it's not too extreme, I think. I have to listen carefully now because this is hard to hear. Let's record it and see what the waveform looks like. That's always a good indicator for these kind of things. I'll eat my chocolate while we're doing that. It's maybe a good idea to high pass parts here. So like these two bring in the low energy. So we remove some of that towards here. Like this maybe. Same with all of these pad sounds. We're going to group this together and remove some of that low end stuff. This one's going to be I guess we could do it here too. We'll do it with this one. And then at the end here. Right after this, of course. We can go up a bit higher and we'll just start from. Yeah, why not? Let's just keep it like this, I guess. Okay, so there's a CPU error, so I cannot recheck. That sounds like how I want it to sound. I Again, we'll just check with the waveform. That's always a good indicator. We're looking for the volume to slightly drop here towards the end. Which is exactly what we have. Also, bit of a dip in here. Oh, not too much. But something like this. This is already detail work, so. Okay, so that's really hard to hear, but I'm assuming that that's okay for now. What is this? That's pretty cool. Let's do some more bass steps. No, let's fix this. So this is this thing. I'm probably going to place this here for now. And we'll remove this. I'm not very keen on that synth. But we are keen on this stuff, so we'll put that there. Here you can also play with the note lengths, maybe. Then of course this, oh, and we'll also up it here. That's pretty cool. Let's play with some more bass material, bass steps, whatever we want. Going to use that trick where we impose. This looks like a gritty bass line where we on this one create random series cap. This is perfect because it has all of the low end stuff in here, and we can subtract the spectra twice, and now we have like a more gritty saw wave kind of thing with some harmonics being like weird and stuff, right? It's not a natural. Get the high end out a bit. maybe here. If you have any ideas, I'm always open for suggestions. As I've said probably many times before, I would like to hear if you have anything that you want to say about the track, if you think you know a cool trick or something that I should implement. Maybe even one more here. We should probably do the stereo thing that we always do on these bass tabs. We'll add a re-trigger just a little bit, and then just to make it fit in the stereo field, right? Probably another step there. I want some parts where it's not 2 bars but just 1 bar between steps. And I think I have a pretty cool idea. If you put a notch 24 on the lowest Q, we get we can even do 2. Notch 24 is at 200, this is at 400, so let's put this also around that area. You should get a fairly, yeah, something like that, and then you distort it. Maybe not like this. Maybe like that. And this is just going to be like a static tone on top of it. So again, we copy over the sidechain. This synthesizing this kind of stuff is really easy because we're all wanted to be kind of similar in terms of stereo and stuff. So that's kind of what I'm going for. That kind of little, or every once in a while have 2, or like 1 per beat. So 2 in like 1 section, 1 repetition basically, because you can kind of divide up this whole rhythm in 2 bars, sections of 2 bars, because this last note is off, which is the whole vibe that this track has basically. This one is way too loud, by the way. Does this sound way too mono to me? Or to make it easier, here we've done a whole bunch of I have done a whole bunch of different processing. For one, I want all to have the same sidechain. This one also. I haven't done processing on all of them. So we can remove the sidechains from all of these. You see, these are all like super clear, right? We can maybe brighten them up a bit. Or we could try take this processing in particular, because this is very good for like clipping it, making sure everything is equally loud. We'll do that. We'll set all of these to 0 so we can set individual volumes. 0, 0. We'll see where these all clip. If I just play it from here, I can check. This is going to be loud, so let's set this to -12. We're missing just one, there it is. Okay, so this one is going to go -2.8. I'm basically putting these values in here. For this I'm going to go 5, and this one 5 as well, because these are, let's go for 3, so this one is a little less loud than all the other ones. I am using LFO tool for sidechain specifically with this baseline, because we have a whole bunch of different baselines, and that makes it very unpredictable with all the different edits that I'm doing and stuff like that. It is better to do it with LFO tool and then clip it going into LFO tool, which we're going to do. I'm going to up this in gain quite a lot, I think, or we're just going to process this to make it clip a lot. And then you basically impose this sidechain on top of everything. Because with sidechain compression, with a normal compressor, it really depends on the source material if it's going to sound correct. But for stuff like this, I always use the normal compressor. I only use LFO tool if I want specific shapes on whatever I'm sidechaining. Do I use Cubase? No, I don't. This is Ableton, and that's the only DAW I use. But the transition between Cubase and Ableton, there's a lot of stuff that you can still learn from watching this, I think. So I hope I can teach you something at least. Working Cubase, yes, no. Sorry for my English, I'm from Brazil. That's no problem. English is also not my first language, so I know what it means to learn language. In fact, I've learned 2 instead of just English. I was born speaking Dutch, and then I was taught English as well as Italian, which I both speak now, more than Dutch. Those basses sound great, by the way. Thank you. We're going to make a few more. But first let's do that processing we were talking about. We're going to really bring out kind of the mid-range stuff. I don't know if I want to make a separate sub. I think that's maybe a bit too much. We can also have some variations in the strength of the sub at some points. Really bringing out this bit here. And for this, let's see if we can find a section where we have all of them playing. Well, kind of like this, I guess, so we don't have to loop everything. Oh. Really want to bring out the power in these. So that's pretty powerful. I know what's happening. The sidechain is off. That's one of the annoying things about sidechaining using Wavetable. It gets out of sync with your track. So with that phase knob, you fix that. It's a bit of an extreme curve. But I'm looking for the perfect kind of like tone. And if you look at the analyzer, it's kind of what it needs to like glide down nicely, right? Joseph Freeman, another bot. We have a lot of them today. We had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe? Yeah, 5 different bots in my chat today. Which, I mean, if they're going to bring in ad revenue, which I assume they kind of do because they're just loading the site, then I don't really mind. But it's just annoying seeing a message pop up and then having it be a random username with some random letters in chat. It's a bit distracting, but it's also just, yeah, just annoying. I feel like this one in particular could use more stereo. Kind of like that. Here. Maybe make this like a plug. That's kind of cool. Have it like a staccato sound, maybe. It works especially well in here. Maybe here as well. Let's see, if we fill this up, does that make it too extreme? Okay, the other thing that I wanted to try here is transgating the reverb, because I feel like it's a bit too static most of the times. Okay, so this transgate is not going to work because of the same issues that LFO tool has, where it's not properly synced. So we're instead going to use LFO tool because you can sync that. This might be cool to keep, and so to have another one in here, which is going to be our 16 note, which now should let's quickly check. I think I can check it using not even this, just using Syscope. Okay, let's see if this works. If this works, then this is a cool trick to remember. These need to be there, so a lot more forward. Of course, Syscope also has issues with where it places stuff, so we can... We've pretty much got it now, so that's okay. Now we can do the edits that we want to do. So starting from here, we'll have one there and one there. That's output gain, that's not what I want. I want this here and here. And now we can do it like that maybe. Let's listen. That's kind of cool. I guess we can try this there. And another one here and here. A bit more stuff, basically. Got a nice little flow sitting in here now, so that's really cool. Right? Quickly going to check if there's anything I need to attend to. And then we can fill in this blank spot stuff here. Might be cool to just have a pause. We'll reflect that in the drum as well. This is the first time we're gonna have that one go down. What am I going to do here? I don't really like how this one flows. Well, maybe I kind of do. Let's hear it in the full context when the reverb is playing. Although we can also do it like this. I guess that kind of works, right? Sounding pretty cool. Pretty happy with what we're getting done today. This drop is going to be, or these drops like this one and this one are going to be very complex. I don't know if I also want that complexity in here. That's something we need to figure out. I don't think 3 of those complex drops is a good idea. The other thing that we need to reconsider is maybe shifting this around if we want complex drops. Back, not back. Right. The only correct way to give directions in a DAW is left-right. Forward, backwards is always confusing because you might consider forwards this way, but some other people might consider forwards that way. I would say forwards is to the left, but that's because it's forwards in time. But some other people might say forwards in that it's more ahead in the song. It's further away from you, right? So I need to learn myself that I always use left, right when talking about distances within the DAW, to hopefully make myself understandable enough for you guys to know what I'm talking about. Final bit of complex drop is right here. I think I might want to add one more bass step, but I'll have you listen to my idea and then hopefully you guys can give me some feedback on this, seeing if you like the tone that I can come up with here. And then we might consider doing some other arrangements from that. I guess we'll do it like this. Here. And just to clean this up, because this needs to be a bit cleaner, I think. And then we can go into a hard clipper. And then a final roll off of the high end, because we're going to bring some of it back. This should be a pretty cool sound, I think, if we add our stuff like this. I hope I've done everything correctly here. That's kind of cool. At least I think it is. I'm always up for opinions. Let's see what you guys think. I've noticed that there's probably a lot of people who are just either just listening or have me on a different tab, so not getting a lot of chats, but that's okay. If people are enjoying me in the background, then it's their right. You don't have to participate, obviously. There's a lot of stuff happening here. There's obviously more reverb if you play it like that, I think. We might do another edit here. Malos, how are you doing? Welcome. Right here, I think. Does that make sense? Yes. That's on the final part of the 8, so then. Nice. Nice to see that you're doing well. I'm going to try something different here. With just a little bit of solo legato or mono legato. It should give this. Maybe even without sidechain on it. Let's bring all of this forward one. That's, in terms of structure, that looks like the best idea here. And then we'll have it like this. With this beat, a short gated background voice could be good. Yeah, that might be something we'll add later. I'll write that down. Notes 3. Wait. Fewer notes. This part, I think, and then we'll say. You mean then like an actual vocal, like a speaking vocal, or more like a voice pad, like a choir or something? What do you think? I'd personally say a pad, probably, rather than spoken voice, but just like a singing vocal. Probably a pad. I'm just leaving this here to consider. Right, so if I get more notes from viewers, I can always place it here. Not so much like a phrase. Yes, okay, perfect. I want to quickly listen again to this thing here. I'm going to listen without the leads. Pads doesn't matter, effects doesn't matter, voice doesn't matter. Just without the lead so we can fully concentrate on what the bass line is doing. This all makes sense. we don't have any pause anywhere except here. It might be cool to take that staccato bassline that we have, or this one, and then this is like all automated, I think. Yes. And just have this go like this. And that's the master volume. And then because this is where the plug is. Obviously I have to turn it on again. I feel like this could use a wobble. This part here, which is... Where's our wobble? Or is that... This is the wobble, I think. Which we haven't used in a while here. So that would be right here. I'm not sure about the... We'll do a final bass edit here, and then I think we're pretty much done. I guess this one, because we haven't used that in a while. Well, we also haven't used this, so we can maybe place it like this. To double up this one here, and then keep this up, and then make this go forward and down, so we can make it a bit more staccato towards here, basically. At least that's the plan, maybe like this. Maybe a bit more forward still. And we'll finally do some EQing on this thing. here. I'm going to turn those off because we want this to be different, very different from what happened before, because this is like the whole complex drop thing. So here instead we want the different stuff, basically the different baseline, and thus also not those main elements that we have. This is huge. Why is this so big? Is what she said. We're getting a pretty cool section here. Sounds pretty cool, thank you. We'll do some more of these edits. Maybe we'll just copy this over here so it's all the same in terms of vibes. And then here we'll add that voice that you were talking about in the second part, just to make it sound a bit different. While we're here, I'm going to record this so we can see if there's any issues on the waveform. I'm happy with how clean this track is becoming also. Like I'm cleaning stuff up. That plug can use a little bit less gain overall here. Things like that are important. We'll probably do it like this. It's all looking very clean to me. I'm a bit scared about this part here, that's not in the right place. I should probably have this completely off, like this, right? So it just doesn't reverb there. That's pretty cool. We'll do some like hype building here. Let me make some space. So like a build section. And then it just breaks down in this minimal drop with just this synth to start. And then towards the end, obviously. Starts to come back in with the big reverb and everything. Might even have the fast hi-hats right after that. Play with some of the other elements that we can put in there. It's been 3.5 hours. I want to probably do a bit more. What I'll do for you guys to hear is I'll play on a different track that I'm also working on. So that would be a temporary track that I'm just going to place in here as always. And I'll take another quick break just to refresh myself. The track that I'm working on is very cool, so I hope you stick around to listen to it. Post some feedback in the chat if there is any. I've shown this track off before on stream, so if you're not new here, then you obviously know it already. It's the one with the long intro with the choir vocals, the Bulgarian folk vocals. So very cool, very nice track. I'll take a quick break, and once this is played out, we'll be right back into working on that other track and improving that as well. And then I'm also going to do what Rob SR suggested, which are those gated vocals. We'll try to experiment with that.
into the past.
This is one of these interesting topics where a lot of times people ask me if I believe the Big Bang Theory. Instead of saying that I believe them, we have overwhelming evidence that the universe was once very small and very hot. That much is absolutely true.
We'll listen to the end of this track and then we'll continue. Nice to see my viewership didn't drop too much during this break. Yes. I can see the waveform nicely. Apparently this track is clipping everywhere, which is strange. This is one of my favorite leads. Like, out of all of my productions, I really like this one. It's maybe a bit too loud. But it fits so well with the track. I'm a real big fan of this production. There's some issues in it and I still need to finish it, but it's like 90% done. There's a lot of like cool lower ambience in it. Final part of the lead, yes. There's just one little element in there which I don't like on that final part. Which is this riser that I have in here. That boop, boop, that thing. I'm probably going to remove that because it just doesn't fit the track. But that's for another time. That's not what we're working on right now. What's the name of the track? It's not released. It's called In the Beginning. When it's released, as you can see, it's part of my unreleased stuff. It's just a number thing. And it's supposed to be a set opener, so that was the whole goal of it. What was I doing? I think we were finished here. No, we wanted to add vocal pads. That was what we're going to do. I think inside Faceplant, seeing as we're working with Faceplant today, there is some vocal stuff where we can make vocal pads using this in the sampler. There should be choir, yeah. We'll try a few different options here. Might be cool to do Georgian choir. We'll try maybe mixing a few of them actually. That might be cool. An alto one. Have this sit an octave higher. And spread this out a bit more. There's something about this second one. Let's separate these by doing this, and then we can delete this and this, and then we'll send this each to their individual lanes so we can master them here together. Okay, maybe do like a low pitch shifter. That doesn't really work. We can obviously do a lower semitone then. It's not really what I'm looking for. Tenor maybe. The kind of grittiness. Going to remove the low end from that. I don't want any bass in here. And then here there's this nasty high-end stuff that we don't really want that. And then let's separate this again. We're going to put those through the same output. But on this one, we're going to filter out all of the like. I want to see a mix of the frequencies. Bit more, bit less of this, and then maybe not, maybe the other way around, like now we're getting somewhere. Also, again, remove that, and then we can make it a bit fatter, just